What's going on, guys? Mr. Flores here. This is a video that deals with solving a system of equations using elimination. All right. This is the last method we're going to use to solve a system of equations. And elimination, well, first of all, before we use, or kind of think of it math ways, let's just think that the word eliminate means to what? All right. Some of the synonyms of eliminate I can think of mean destroy, obliterate, I think is how you spell it. All right, obliterate, or I guess nicer terms, just means to get rid of. Okay, basically get rid of. To get, why is this not working? Okay, get rid of. Okay, so in English, the word eliminate means to destroy, obliterate, or to get rid of. Right? So mathematically, when you get rid of something, when you destroy it, when you obliterate it, or when you eliminate it, basically it means to do what? Well, you want to turn a number or variable to 0. So ultimately, elimination to solve a system of equations is we're going to be turning numbers or variables to 0. Okay, and we're going to want to go back to our little elementary school days, and we want to think of a couple scenarios. So let's say I have the number 2, the number 2. If we want them to equal 0, what must we do? Well, 2 minus 2 equals 0. Well, that was easy. All right, let's say we have a -3 and a -3. What must we do to make them 0? Well, we can subtract, because -3 minus -3 really becomes -3 plus 3, which is 0. Okay, so if they have the same sign, you subtract. So remember that, same sign, subtract. Trust me, remembering this is going to help you out a lot. This is the biggest mistake kids make. Okay, so same sign, subtract. So likewise, if I have a +2 and a -2, to get that to become 0, we're just going to add them. Okay, so 2 plus a -2 is 0. Now, let's say I have -3 and a +3. If we want them to become 0, what do? We add them. -3 plus 3 equals 0. Okay, so if they're opposite sign, if one's positive and one's negative, opposite sign, we add. Okay, so remember this. If you have the same sign, you must subtract the numbers to get 0. If you have the opposite signs, you add the numbers to get 0. All right, and that's going to help us out. So, again, since we've been dealing with so many word problems when we did this graphing, when we solve systems graphically, we're going to start off again with another word problem. So, again, we said there's two types of word problems we've been using this year. Either I give you a starting value and a rate of change, or I give you two rates of change in a way, and I give you a total value. All right. So if we look here, we know that a test has 20 questions worth 100 points. The test consists of true and false questions at 3 points each, multiple choice questions at 11 points each. So we got to think basically, did I give you a total or did I give you a starting value? Well, if you look here, I said a test has 20 questions worth 100 points. So right off the bat, we know that I just gave you two totals. Okay. We know the one total is there's 20 questions. Okay, and the other total is we know that there is 100 points for the whole test. Okay, and if we remember from creating linear equations, all right, since we know these are our two totals, we know that our equation has to equal 20. Our point question has to equal 100. All right, now we want to build the left side of our equation using our variables. Well, again, like I always say, the variables are going to be whatever the question's looking for. Okay, so we have x and y as our two variables. And the question says how many multiple choice questions are on the test. Well, I'm going to say that I'm going to make x the number of multiple choice questions. Okay, I know that because we're trying to find multiple choice questions, and variables are things that you try and find. So I know right off the bat that's what x and y have to be. The number of multiple choice questions, the number of true and false questions. True and false questions. Okay, so now what we have to do is build the rest of our equation. So we know that there's 20 questions total. And the way you find the total amount of questions on the test is you count up the number of multiple choice, count up the number of true and false, and you add them together. So x plus y equals 20. That's easy. Then 100 talks about the points on the test. Well, we know that, again, we have to add up x and y because those are the questions we have. Okay, but we have to look back and see how many points each question was. Well, the true and false questions were 3 points, and true and false is our y, so it's actually going to be 3y, and there's 11 points for each multiple choice question, so it's 11x. Okay, because the 100 deals with the amount of points, so the variables have to have their point values in there. The 20 questions is just the number of each type of question, so we just add them up. We don't have to put the 11 and 3 as our coefficients, because when I count questions, I don't care about their point values. All right, hopefully that makes sense. We're going to come back to this problem. Okay, so there's room given on your paper, so leave the room. We're going to come back to it. All right, so go to this problem. I believe it's in 2 sections. Okay, it's negative 8x minus 10y equals 28. 4x plus 10y equals 24. Okay, so this is the big shebang. This is using elimination to solve a system of equations. If you notice, both of our equations are in standard form. Okay, so it's not going to we easily can't graph them. We easily can't substitute. So when all else fails, you use elimination. All right. So basically, elimination is that we want to eliminate either our x variables or our y variables. Right. In order to eliminate something, they must be the same value. What I mean by that is we must have the same number of x's or the same number of y's. Well, luckily here, our x's don't match, but the y's do, because we have negative 10y and positive 10y. And if you remember from the beginning, that quick little segment, the 10s have opposite signs. So if you want to eliminate things with opposite signs, the same number, you add them together. Okay? Whatever we do to one, you have to do to everything. So when we look here, we're going to do negative 8x plus 4x gives us a negative 4x. Negative 10y plus a positive 10y cancels. We're left with 0y. I'm just going to write it for now. Equals 28 plus a negative 24 is a positive 4. All right. The 0y you don't actually have to write because we know that it just cancels away. So we have negative 4x equals a positive 4. All right. What we want to do is we want to get x all alone. So we divide both sides by negative 4. All right. And we're going to get that x is equal to negative 1. Because 4 divided by negative 4 is a negative 1. All right. So we know what x is. Just like when we deal with substitution, okay, when we want to find the other variable, aka the y variable, we're going to substitute the negative 1 in for x in either equation. Okay, I'm going to take it and substitute it into the second equation. All right, and I'm just going to rewrite it down here. So it's going to be 4 times the negative 1 plus 10y equals negative 24. Okay, so that's going to simplify to become negative 4 plus 10y equals negative 24. Run out of room. All right, so now just algebra-wise, I want to get this 4 away, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And you're going to get 10y equals negative 20. Divide both sides by 10. And we know that y is equal to negative 2. All right, so we're going to bring it back together. We know that x is a -1 because that's what we found. When we substitute that into the equation, we found y was a -2. And that's elimination for you. All right, so that's elimination in a nutshell. You basically eliminate one of your variables by adding or subtracting the equations, okay? And then you do the same method. You simplify, solve, substitute, solve, and you're good, right? Sometimes our problems can get a little trickier, though. So I'm going to go back to our word problem, all right? And let's just take a gander here at what we have. So we have x plus y equals 20, 11x plus 3y equals 100, all right? We want to use elimination, so we can't solve for anything, okay? I don't want to move the x or y over and substitute. We want to use elimination, so we have a x here and a y here, an 11x and a 3y. None of the variables coefficients match, so mathematically we can make them match, okay? I want this to become a 3y. So what I must do is I'm going to multiply the whole entire top equation by 3, right? So I'm going to distribute a 3 by every single piece, okay? So it's going to become 3x plus 3y equals 60. I didn't change it mathematically, I just changed how it looked, because 3x plus 3y equals 60 is the same thing as x plus y equals 20, okay? Just mathematically changed a little bit. So now we're going to be working with these two equations. 11x plus 3y equals 100, 3x plus 3y equals 60. All right? And we know that our y's have the same number. They're both 3 and 3. All right? And if you remember from the first thing, if they have the same sign, you subtract. So it's going to be 11x minus 3x gives us 8x. Okay? 3y minus 3y cancels. 100 minus 60 is 40. Okay. Now, we want to get the x all by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. And we're going to get that x equals 5. All right, so that's good. That's all well. We know that x is equal to 5. But again, what do we want to do? We need to still find a y. The nice thing about this is you can take this x and substitute it into any of the equations we have here. All right, I'm going to choose and elect to substitute it into the first equation. All right, so we're going to get 5 plus y equals 20. I want to get that y all by itself, so I'm going to subtract 5. I'm going to get y is equal to 15. All right, and this is going to give us a grand total, okay? Make sure you actually label your answers. We know x is 5, and x is multiple choice questions, so there's 5 multiple choice questions. And we know that there is y is 15, so there's 15 true and false questions. Okay? And that would be our final answer. Again, guys, make sure when you're doing these videos that if you do a problem with me in this video and you have like problems with it or you think it's a little tricky, pause the video, do the next question that resembles it, or ask me for help, okay? You shouldn't keep going through the video if what happens first in the video doesn't make sense, okay? Because that's illogical. Why are you going to keep doing something if it's not making sense to you, okay? So if you get to a point in the video where you get stuck or have a question, make sure you ask me. That's why I'm here. All right, I'm not just walking around the room to get exercise, even though it helps. I'm here to help you. So make sure you ask questions in the video if these first couple problems don't make sense, because the harder ones won't make sense if these don't make sense. Make sense? Good. All right, so we're gonna go here and we have 5x minus 14y equals 22, negative 6x plus 7y equals 3. Again, none of our coefficients match. 5 and negative 6, not the same number. Negative 14, 7, not the same number. All right. But what we want to do is we want to look at, can we multiply any equation by something so the variables do match? Well, what I want to do is I want to multiply this second equation by 2. And the reason is because 2 times 7 gives us 14, the same number we can eliminate. So I'm going to multiply every piece of this equation by 2. All right, I'm going to rewrite the first equation just so it's like right above each other. So that's not it. So we have 5x minus 14y equals 22. Then when I distributed the 2, I got negative 12x plus 14y equals 6. All right. So now we have negative 14y and a positive 14y. Since they're the different signs, we're going to add to eliminate. So those are automatically going to eliminate. Okay. And when we simplify, we get 5x plus the negative 12x gives us negative 7x. If that math confuses you, ask for help or use a calculator. So 22 plus 6 gives us 28. Okay. Now we want to get the x alone, so we divide both sides by negative 7. Okay. And we know that x is equal to a negative 4. Okay. So now what we got to do is we have to distribute. Not distribute, we have to substitute. We must substitute negative 4 in for one of the x's. Okay, I'm going to elect to substitute it into this bottom equation. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here. What we have, we're going to have, let's do it in purple, a negative 6 times, substitute in the negative 4, so it's negative 6 times negative 4 plus 7y equals 3. All right, now we're just going to simplify. So negative 6 times negative 4 gives us a positive 24 plus 7y equals 3. All right, we want to get 7y alone, so I subtract 24 from both sides. And we're going to get 7y equals negative 21. All right, last but not least, we want to get y alone, so we divide both sides by 7. And you are going to get y is equal to negative 3. So, for a grand total answer, we know x is negative 4. We know y is negative 3. And you're good to go. All right. Again, this is, I would say, a medium type problem. All right. The last problem in the packet, the ones I give you in the notes, is probably the hardest type. You must not only multiply one equation by a number, you must multiply both equations by a number. But if you're having trouble understanding that, just ask. So if you go back to the middle, to the second problem in the packet, okay, again, it gives you a little disclaimer. It says something funky is going to happen, all right, because we know that with systems of equations, sometimes you get one solution, sometimes you get none, sometimes you get infinite. So if we look here, we're going to have 2x plus y equals 7, negative 2x minus y equals 6. And for those brainiacs out there, you got to see a pattern of something that's going to happen. All right. So I'm going to cancel these x's. 2 and negative 2 are opposite signs, so we're going to add everything. All right. So we get 2x plus a negative 2x is 0x. Y plus a negative y is 0y. 7 plus 6 is 13. Well, we know that 0 times anything is 0. 0 times anything is 0, which tells us that 0 equals 13. Again, we have to ask ourselves, is that ever true? Is that ever going to happen? No, that is never true. 0 never equals 13. So we know it is no solution. Okay. Again, if you get a problem where you do all your work, and I know I said this in the last video, but I just want to reiterate it. If you do all your work and you get something that says 3 equals 3, just like how we got 0 equals 13, but it says 3 equals 3. Of course, that is always true. So that is infinite solutions. Okay. Basically, this is system of equations. We're going to next we're going to do a system of inequalities, which are actually really fun, so make sure you pay attention. But infinite solution, so inequalities, no, what am I doing? System of equations. This is the last method. We've done graphing, we've done substitution, now we've done elimination, okay? Remember, if you ever want to check your answers, you can always check them graphically using Desmos or using a graphing calculator. Now, in a test or quiz, if I tell you you have to solve them using a type of method, you have to use substitution, you have to use elimination. You're going to have to show me the work. But again, you can always check your answer using Desmos or using a calculator. Okay, that's not cheating as long as you show me that you know how to do it the way I ask. But it's thinking smart, okay? It's covering your behind by checking your answer, all right? If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this video made sense. Sorry they're a little bit long, but I want to get a lot of stuff in there. So if you have questions, let me know. Remember to always pause the videos if you have questions, and good luck.